Hello and welcome to the latest instalment of the Market Financial Solutions Let's Talk Property podcast. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to take a moment to share a quick disclaimer. Market Financial Solutions are a bridging loan and buy-to-let mortgage provider and are not legal, financial, investment or tax advisors. This content is for informational purposes only and does not and should not be considered to constitute legal, financial, investment or tax advice, or be relied upon by any person to make legal, financial, investment or tax decisions. Therefore, investors are encouraged to seek appropriate professional advice. The opinions and views expressed in this episode are personal to the host and guests and may not reflect the views of Market Financial Solutions. Now, let's get started.
Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Let's Talk Property in association with Market Financial Solutions. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Jazz Dhaliwal, consultant solicitor for Taylor Rose. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in today. Let's start with a bit of an introduction, a bit of a background to yourself and your work, if that's okay. So for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I'm a conveyancing solicitor.
Yeah.
I've been doing residential for about 10 odd years. 2 years into it, I went into the consultancy program, and now it's more like a self-employment, but I use Taylor Rose as the brand.
Yeah.
And I'm a consultant there. So I've been doing that 8 years now, and I've never looked back. Besides that, I'm a mum of 2, and that's why I chose consultancy as well. It gives you that freedom, gives you that flexibility, and it's been amazing.
I think you've kind of mentioned my next question as to what drew you to consultancy, but is there anything else that kind of drew you to work in a self-employed kind of consultant role?
Sure. I think it was like a lot of factors. I think like I would come back from holiday and there would be like case files upon case files.
Yeah.
Other solicitors are dumping work there, and it's just become like a client isn't a client, it's a number. That's file number 20, file 25. And it's like an operation. Yeah, exactly, an operation system. Like you'd want to get hold, if a client wanted to get hold, there was like a call center and all of that. And I was just like, I'm just not here for it. Like I can do this and I could do it so much better. So why not? Obviously it's like daunting, like to go from like zero salary and then work your way up. It does take time. It's not easy and it's not for everyone, but best decision.
That makes sense. This is the time for you to shine on this one. In your view, what makes your service truly stand out to your clients?
So after that experience, I've noticed that I've obviously got a capacity issue that all solicitors should have, to be honest. And I've gone into here and I've been like, right, okay, I'm going to take on no more than 40 cases each month. And after 40, I will just start declining instructions. And that's the way I'm able to deliver the service. And it's more personal, it's more bespoke. And like if any client calls me up, I know who they are. And I'm not like searching or thinking, oh, you know what, let me call you back, or putting them through to X, Y, and Z. Like I know exactly who they are. And that's what I wanted to go out and do, to be honest.
I think we're just going to hit on a couple of points you've mentioned there. So flexibility and the high level of service. Why is that crucial, do you think, in the conveyancing model and setup today?
Why isn't it?
Well, that's a good point.
Well, I guess there's like a lot on the line, right? When any investor, of course, is like putting money down.
It's very emotive as well, isn't
there's
it?
Bridging, there's all sort of time constraints going on, even whether it's an auction property as well. And do you really want a solicitor that's going to be sitting on a file for 3 months just because? Like, there's no other reason. It's just because I haven't got time to it.
No, makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's break it down into what a typical day would look like for you. Aside from the parenting responsibilities, which we both have, what does a typical day like for you? Is it ever really the same?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's never the same. I don't work 9 to 5, to be honest. I'll work a bit in the morning, a bit in the afternoon, a bit in the evening. It kind of depends how often those emails are coming through. So I don't know. I can't tell you a typical day, but let's say like yesterday. In the morning, I picked up on a few emails, done a few report on titles, just basically going through the whole contract pack, reporting to my client with contract documents, starting to discuss exchange and completion. I done an exchange, done a completion, had 3 completions lined up for today. So I had to prepare for that yesterday. So there's like a lot of movement that's going on. And it's not like structured, to be honest. It just kind of just depends what kind of workflow I'm getting in.
It sounds like flexibility and time management is
Yeah.
pretty key
Yeah.
to be successful in the kind of
Absolutely.
service that you offer on it. Okay. In regards to the kind of the finer details of what the conveyancing is about, what's the key steps in the process that clients might not be familiar with, would you say?
Sure. I think what happens is any newbie client thinks they come into us and they instruct conveyancing solicitors and they'll complete the transaction in a matter of probably less than 2 weeks.
Oh yes, we're all in there.
Right. And they don't understand there's obviously a process, there's a system in place that we've got to attend to as well, especially when you're buying with a lender as well. There's that much more requirements to meet. So I guess apart from like the ID checks that we do early on, we then need to go through the contract pack. We then need to go through the title documents, make sure there's no like restrictive covenants. Like I might have a client say to me, Jazz, I want to do an extension on the property. But when I review that covenant, it may be like, you can't do any extensions to the property. So there's a lot of like reviewing, talking to the clients, talking to the other side. We also need to apply for searches. So the searches we would always apply for is like the local search, environmental and drainage search. And those usually take about 3 to 4 weeks. Sometimes the council's got a backlog. It might even take longer, might take earlier. Just depends on what their timeline is as well. If it's a leasehold, we'll have to contact the managing agent, get a copy of the management pack if you're acting for the sale. If it's a purchase, you're reviewing that management pack, service charge, ground rent. Is it what you thought it would be? Like I've had clients say to me, Jazz, the ground rent was supposed to be £10. You're telling me it's 150. So there's a lot of that going on. And then after the searches, you know, the management pack comes in. We then report to the client with the contracts, with all the documents and everything as well. I would have hoped that the client at some stage would have instructed a surveyor's report. So I do have a lot of clients come to me and say, Jazz, why am I instructing a surveyor? Like the lender's gone in, they value the property, and as far as I'm concerned, that's done.
Good point.
And I'm like, well, no, how would you know? Like if there's an electrical fault, a boiler fault, I wouldn't want you to come back in 3 months saying, Jazz, my electrics have gone off and like I'm £3,000 down. Like the property is sold as seen at that point, right?
That's a good point.
So I do like stress that out to the client so they can go back and negotiate on that deal if they need to. And that's where we are, I guess.
If you're enjoying this podcast, please feel free to explore the other free, insightful, or educational resources we have on our website. We have a broad range of content available that can help brokers and investors navigate the property market, including blogs, independent research reports, comprehensive guides, and more. To access it, go to mfsuk.com/resources.
That's it. You've kind of touched on it really. My next question is about the potential delays. And you kind of talked about the layering of potential problems. If you looked into a certain area of the process, then something could crop up and you need to start to look into that. And that's when it can kind of escalate, so to speak. But where do most delays tend to crop up? And the second question on that really is, how can clients and the lawyers better collaborate to potentially avoid them? Tricky question, but it's an interesting one.
So I think from my experience, it's always been like the managing agent, to be honest.
Yep.
When it's a leasehold transaction and, you know, you've got the management pack and they've overlooked and didn't provide us with a service charge budget or whatever the situation, to go back and forth on that by emails is so time consuming. It's a call center, so you can't really get through to them.
Yeah.
And that is usually the delay. Very rarely I find out that the other side just hasn't communicated to me, to be honest. And I know it's like very out there, so solicitors are slow, you can't get hold of them. I think it kind of depends who you instruct as well, right? I don't know, it's not been that much of a bad experience. In terms of collaborating together, I think communication is like so key.
Yeah. Do you think I just thought of something, a key word that could be being proactive.
Yeah.
If you knew or know that something's going to crop up, you can kind of put it in everyone's inbox, so to speak, quickly, because that's going to take a bit of time down the line and get everyone on board to focus on it now. Would that be something you kind of focus on?
Absolutely. So let's use an example of a client says to me, the purchase price is now from 600, it's come down to 550. I'll need to make sure the mortgage broker is aware, so they get an amended offer. I need to make sure the seller's solicitors provide us with an amended contract, and need an amended sales memo. So there's all these like various parties that are involved. And if the client is very hands-on as well, that would be like amazing. I appreciate like a lot of my clients, they're like, Jazz, I've got a 9-to-5 job myself. If you can do the chasing, amazing. And you know, I will try, but there's nothing like a client calling the agent and being like, right, okay, what is going on?
Motivated, proactive client.
Yeah,
absolutely. With the other solicitor being the same as well.
Yeah.
Gets things done a lot quicker, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Some very good points. Thank you for that. I'm just going to move on to social media. I was having a look at your LinkedIn post before. That was a really good read. You regularly share insights and updates online. What's the thinking behind that approach?
Well, I guess, you know, when I go to like networking events and I introduce myself, I'm a conveyancing solicitor, they're like, oh, you're one of those. You're the one who delays my transaction.
One of them, right.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, like it is nothing like that. We're not all like that. So I went out there, and as soon as my youngest was like in full-time education, I was like, right, I'm going to go all socials, I'm going to go all out, and I'm going to make sure everyone understands that not every solicitor works like that.
Yeah.
And that's exactly like, if you look at my profile, it will be like, you want a completion done in 3 days? Yes, let's make it happen. You know, I've got a capacity issue. As long as it's not more than 40 cases, I'll take it on. So that's what I've been like screaming and shouting about on my socials. And I think a lot of people have started to see that and now walk into the rooms, they're like, Jazz, I saw your socials. And I'm like, nice, okay.
Very different approach.
It's working.
Yeah. Just on that, really, I think it's more about the education piece. How important do you think the education is in the property industry? And you have touched on it about a different perception of the solicitor's role, but the bigger piece on education, how important is it in this industry, do you think?
I think it's really important, to be honest, especially as an investor, whether you're a first-time buyer or even if you're in overseas, it will be good to understand the timelines that are involved and where you can help speed up the process. Because I do have newbie clients come to me and say to me, well, Jazz, it's a very hands-off approach, you carry on, but I don't know, there's a lot of like money on the line. You know, if the clients understood that perhaps there was like a river next door, of course, like the flood surge, for example, is going to be high. Whereas I get some clients say to me, oh my God, I wasn't aware. But it's just that due diligence, and to be honest, and the implications of that as well to understand. Then you're then going to go out and buy building insurance and understand the premium that's going to be involved just because there's like a river or something nearby. So I think, you know, the more you can be educated on around your surroundings, around the process, the easier it is. And, you know, you might pick up on questions that haven't been like suggested by the other side, or it might help like speed up the transaction, like anything could.
Yeah, makes absolute
help,
sense.
really.
Yeah. I was going to ask this question at the end, but I think it's pertinent to put it in this social media kind of section we're putting in now. For any of our audience, if they wanted to contact you, how would be the best way to do that?
So I'm always available on socials. So it will be the Instagram handle UK_property_solicitor. You could find me on LinkedIn, Jazz Dhaliwal. Email, if you just like even pop down Jazz Dhaliwal and Google solicitor,
they'll find
it'll
you.
come up.
They'll find you.
Yes,
Fair
they'll
enough.
find me.
Okay, just on the final thoughts here. If you could implement 3 changes to make the property industry a better place to work, what would they be? Difficult one, that.
Yes, I think there needs to be like a lot of change, to be honest. I think the first one would be like amazing if we had the contract pack from get-go. So it's not coming in stages, we're not applying for searches. If all of that happened at the very early stages, my client is well aware of what those searches are going to reveal, whether they want to move forward with a transaction, a bit like an auction, to be honest, except that you've reviewed the pack early on. It would just be like the same principle. Right now, like to contact the managing agent, to make searches, all of that is like such a process, and it just takes weeks on end, to be honest. The second one would probably be, now this is like, I've been in this scenario where I'm in a chain transaction, and there's a buyer who's selling, who's then selling, who's then selling, and I'm probably 5th down the line. And if I'm the conveyancer and I'm completing on a transaction, I'm not completing at 9 o'clock. I'm probably not going to even complete by 1 o'clock. I'm probably going to be that 5 o'clock person, because by the time that money has moved down the chain, and does my client want to go in by 5 o'clock? I mean, they don't have a choice. And, you know, removal vans, they're ticking their time. They're looking at the clock, watching the hour. So it'd be good if there was kind of some kind of like, I don't know, like a chain block, like a system where you could just kind of be like, okay, we can see the movement of funds, and right, okay, it's landed in hours.
More a joined up approach to that part of the stage.
Yeah, something like that. And then finally, it would be amazing if there was like a policy with like managing agents to get back within like, I don't know, my policy, 48 hours. Get back to me within 48
Now
hours.
you're asking.
That would be good.
Well, it's interesting. I've jotted a few words down here. The first sort of answer you gave, it felt like you were looking for a real more streamlined approach to the conveyancing. And the second one was a joined-up approach to communication and the time constraints you're in. And the last one, you're looking for a miracle. I'm joking. No, it's absolutely right. Look, that concludes my questions, Jazz. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for coming along.
Thank you so much for having me. Amazing.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share it. You can access our previous episodes in all of the usual places, as well as on our website at www.mfsuk.com/podcast. You can also stay connected with us on Instagram at MFS_LTP. See you next time.